Hello, welcome to another Random Code stream. My name is Jason Bach, and I am going to be working on this bug that somebody opened up a couple days ago on my custom serializer for CSLA that's using source generators. So I'm going to dive into that this morning. I already did a little bit of prep work for it, and I think I know what the problem is, but still got to fix it. So let me get my music going on in the background. So I first wanted to talk a little bit about just the community interaction and effort that sometimes goes into open source projects. And this person with, I think their name is Claudio, I think that's how you say it. And if I'm mispronouncing that, apologize in advance. They've done some other work in this repository already and uncovering some bugs. And that's been really nice to see. You know, it's happened on a couple of other repositories that I have in GitHub, and people contributing and pointing out issues and suggesting things, and that's really nice. It's great to see when people do that. One of the things that this bug pointed out, other than the fact that there is a bug, is I have to be a little bit clearer in terms of what I'm expecting when somebody wants to file a bug or an issue. Because if you look through this, you'll see that I'm kind of asking, hey, do you have a test case for this? What's the actual exception? What's the stack trace? And one of the things I haven't done in this is, if I go to the actual repository, is I did not have an issue template, a pull request template. I didn't have these things here. These are kind of like that standard .github folder that you should have in every project. In fact, I'm kind of wondering if I can go to my organization, and I believe you can put a .github folder there, and then that will happen for all of my repositories. So, because I've been adding them to a couple of repositories, but I'm like, man, I do not want to do that with every single one that I have. So I think what I might do is just get that done here and then see, did that actually affect like this inline mapping repository, which I haven't done anything with in a couple of years now. Yeah, at least. And this has no .github folder. So it'll be interesting to see if then that gets picked up here. I'm getting kind of curious. Has anybody added anything to it? Nope. Nope. This is one of my first experiments with source generators, because I was like, hey, there's this thing called AutoMapper, but could we do object mapping with a source generator? And that's what I came up with, but really haven't done anything with that, because mapping objects, I really do believe, should be a manual thing. It should not be, well, I don't want to say it should not be, but the problem with using something with some kind of auto mapping is 90 to 95% of the cases you run into are going to be very straightforward and automatic. I see in my source object, I have a property called ID and it's a GUID, and in my destination, I have a property called ID and it's a GUID. Easy, map those two together. But it's these just the small cases where people have just gone absolutely wild in some libraries trying to support all sorts of mapping scenarios. And I'm kind of like, look, if you're gonna need something like that, maybe do that as a post mapping scenario. You know, just get all the simple cases that handle most of the things, and then you can write something afterwards to take that object and do your custom mapping with them. Because otherwise that gets to be really annoying. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So that's one thing that this bug report just pointed out to me, is, as a steward, I guess, of a repository, as an owner of it, I need to have things set up so that it's clear what the expectations are. You know, when I get a bug report like this, you know, I'm not saying there isn't a bug, but how do I repeat that? How do I figure out what that's going to target. And in fact, as I look at this, let's take a look at the milestones real quick for what I have on this project. So I do have a 210. Yeah, so we'll put it in 210. Okay. All right. So, and I mention all this because if you're contributing to a project, whether you find a bug, whether you think you have a feature that you'd like to suggest, try to give as much information as you possibly can, because that's going to help the people. And you can provide a PR for it if you like. That's great, but I would also say don't provide a PR until you talk. You could put in the issue and say, I could provide a fix for this as a PR if you'd like. Because with the libraries or the repositories I maintain, I sometimes like to do things myself because it's fodder. It's material that I can do a stream on and have that kind of content. But I'm also sometimes like, well, go ahead. If you think you can fix this, be my guest, but communicate that with the owners of the repository first. Don't just submit a PR, because for reasons. I think it's just a good practice to do that. So, all right. Anyway, so what this bug is, if you look at it, it's not necessarily about a custom data portal proxy or this flow security principle from client. That's also something that when you're trying to figure out what's wrong with the system is, I've just found this out through years and years of software development, is somebody will say, this doesn't work because of this case. And they're not wrong. They're correct. But I've always found you have to try to get to what's the core issue, what's the underlying thing that's causing this to happen. Because more often than not, it's a general systemic problem that exists that's going to show up in other places. You just happen to find it in this one specific case. And it's not necessarily anything to do with flipping this Boolean flag in this case. So, and again, not criticizing the person that reported this. Me as the author, I didn't want to just I don't want to try to solve the bug by looking for if this flag is set this way and try to do the, no. What's really the issue here? And so I spent some time looking at it and digging into it a little bit yesterday. And I have the test that this person gave, and yes, it fails. And so I think the fix that I'm about to do is going to fix this. So what's happening here, and what took me a while as I was debugging it, I eventually got into CSLA's data portal proxy. And I think this is maybe where it got a little confusing, because, if this is false, it gives you a null. And this is true. It will give a null here. But what that made me realize is the generator formatter, my custom serialization formatter, does not handle serialize getting a null object. Okay, so there's two methods for serialize, and there's two methods for deserialize. Both deserialize methods say you can return a null object. You can that's valid. Okay. And when I wrote this, I didn't handle that correctly at all. So I simply need to handle the case when you have a null value, and it really has nothing to do with this flow thing or a custom data portal proxy. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to keep that tester now, but what I'm also going to do is put in analysis, generators, collections. Yes, we're going to have null tests. Okay, and no, we don't need it here. Yeah. Let's delete that. It's actually going to be an integration test. Yeah. So what we want here is, we don't even need round trip async. We don't need even an object here, which is going to be interesting. Oh, and then we don't. Yeah, we don't need any of this. And we want to say that new data because null should be fine. And we want to say new data is null. Now this isn't going to work. This should actually cause an exception, but we want it to get it to work. So that's the thing. Always make sure that you have a test or tests for cases. And that's again for defensiveness, if anything. So that if you change something, you'll know if you broke something. So this should give us, that's giving us the error that we expect. Well, the error that because it's a bug, that's the error that we're getting. Now we need to not do that. So let's get into our formatter. And I think what I'm going to have here is a private const string null marker. Okay. And what I'm going to do is first on the serialization side, we're going to say here if graph is null. Okay. No, we're not going to throw. We're going to say here var writer is a new binary writer on the stream. Writer.write generator formatter null marker. Okay. And that's it. That's all we do. So that's a marker. It's an indicator in the stream. And you're going to see in a moment why that we're saying all we have is a null. We were given a null, so we need to return a null. And I'm going to keep the message here. We'll keep that the same. I don't know why I don't have XML comments on these things. I should. Custom serialization formatter or CSLA using a source generator. Okay. Now on the deserialized side, what we're going to do is we're going to read the string first. And we're going to say if graph type gf null marker, then we return null. Else all that. And that's it. So all we do is put in a one character string to indicate we have a null. And if we get that when we read the string, then we return the null, and that's it. Otherwise, we're given an object, and if it's not this, it should fail. So what we should have now in the null test is a pass. And we don't. It's still doing that, though. All right, well, that's why we write tests, right? Oh, that's why. Okay. Actually, what I should do here is say else, and then put this all in. And then we do that. Now we get it to pass. And now the original submitted bug, it still fails. Why does it fail? Unable to cast object of type data portal channel update request to data portal response. Okay, well, if I looked at the it did say something. Yeah, this. Set the value to true, I get the same exception, but the graph is... Okay, so I think we at least fixed 38. Addressed null objects in formatter. Because that definitely was a bug. No doubt about it. But we still have an issue here. And we have a totally different one now. I should have, yeah. Okay, fixed the null issue in the formatter. Now getting a new error exception. Don't know why that's not formatting it. Hey, Electron. So now we're getting an unable to cast object. This is in the proxy update. It wants to give a result back. I have to admit, I don't know what this... I mean, I know sort of, not a lot, but what this custom data portal proxy relay data protocol is to remote application server. I'm not sure that this is actually quite set up correctly. I don't know. I don't think I've ever created a custom proxy before. So I don't know if that's actually the issue here or not. So let's just see where this is actually... I should have that off. Yeah, I do. Because I wanted to be able to step into where this is failing. I'm a little surprised it didn't break data portal proxy update. If I put a breakpoint here, is it going to be smart enough to pick that up? Nope, it's not. Why are you playing logo? Play a trending? Because I wanted to. As a side note, I actually don't know how much longer I'm going to play it. Mostly because, and I knew this was going to be an issue, but the music in the game is absolutely killing the video itself. Like the second one, you can't even watch it anymore because it didn't give me a copyright strike, but it basically blocked it. So I thought, well, I could maybe turn down the music as low as I can make it, or just turn it off. But then that takes away kind of the charm of the game, which is being able to hear the whole Lord of the Rings experience. So I don't know. I'm kind of debating what I'm going to do with the game. And it's unfortunate. I mean, again, not unexpected. I knew there was going to be issues with the music in the game, but I didn't know it was going to be that bad. So anyway, well, I'm not sure now what to do with this. What happens if we just... Okay, let's put a breakpoint here. Can we say step into? Okay, so we can get into that, which that should be fine. Okay, so we get that. Culture. So we do get an update. Yay, okay, so I just had to put a breakpoint and then I could step into, and then that was fine. Okay. So... we have data portal data. That's our object. We have a data portal context. Which, that's just CSLA stuff, and then is sync is true. Okay, so neither one of those are true. Get base update criteria. You can play Black Myth Wukong. It's also a good. I'm sure I could, but I mean, I appreciate their ideas, but I kind of just do what I want on my stream, you know. And if I'd get 100 people to watch at one time, and I get 2 people to watch, it doesn't really matter to me, you know, because I'm not trying to do this as a full-time job. So I'm not chasing the dragon, as it were. I mean, I'd like the channel to be good, but not because I'm just trying to fit what's most popular. But like when I was doing Silksong, I actually got one stream for me. I think I got 60 viewers at one time, and that was a lot for me. But it was because it was a new game and it was relatively popular. So anyway, moving on. So convert request, get the required service, call data portal server. Okay, so that serialized into a byte. We get the serialization. Okay, so that's the problem. Is it gonna let me do this? Yeah, it won't. Okay, that's fine. Let's just stop. But it's something in here that we deserialize and it doesn't come back correctly. So let's get down to here. And serialize is a byte array. So if we take this, go to the immediate window and we say, what is that? The typer namespace I serial. Oh, come on. Really? You know what that is. Don't act like you don't. My serialization formatter, what should that be? If I am here, it's CSLA serialization. Okay, let's try that. It comes back as an update request. My senior's farewell, and I was also invited but didn't attend. I'm assuming, if I understand that right, Electron, that means you're a senior in high school. If you're in the U.S., I think you are. Not sure. But that's like a graduation ceremony, if I understand. My 2 kids, they didn't care. They didn't want to go through the whole graduation thing, which my wife and I were like, that is perfectly fine, because the school that they went to, the high school, was massive. Like, I think their graduating class was almost like, how big does the school get? I forget. It would not surprise me if each class, it was definitely in the hundreds, if not maybe even reaching into 1,000. No, I'm not in the U.S. Okay, all right. Is it something similar or akin to that? Was what I'm guessing. I really don't know. But they had it. They always used to do it at this church about 5 or 10 miles away. It's this big mega evangelical church, and for one thing, my wife and I were not very comfortable with the school using that. I think they did it purely out of just not because they were trying to have that religious angle, but they just needed the space, and this church was big enough to have that many people there. I still felt uncomfortable with that, but when my kids are like, no, we don't want to have to go up on stage and get our diplomas or do anything like that. We just don't want to do that. And I was like, that is perfectly fine by me. For me, when I was in high school, graduating was a big deal in the sense of I was moving on from this small town, going to a college downtown Milwaukee, and I was so looking forward to it. So it's exactly similar as you were describing it. Okay, yeah, got it. So yeah, don't blame you. For me, when I was a kid, it was important, but purely for the reason of I could finally be like, I'm done with this. And it wasn't like it was a bad experience, but it was like I was tired of living in a small town at that point. And I've been tired of it for a while, and I just wanted to have a new I mean, there were people where I grew up that didn't ever venture like 15 or 20 miles away from the town ever in their whole lives. And I thought that was so just weird. Get out and live a little bit. So anyway, okay. You're distracting me, Electron. Stop it. Where was I? It's not this. Yeah, so it's in the update. We're doing an application context get required service. We deserialize, but what we're getting is an update request back. So why? Provider get required service. We do that. We create the data. No, don't worry about it, Electron. I'm not like chastising you. I was giving you grief, as it were. I'm not entirely sure that this is doing what it actually should be doing at this point. I'm going to have to actually, Rocky's the guy that handles this CSLA framework. That's what this is doing underneath the scenes. But I kind of feel like I'm getting to the point where I don't really know if what's being done here is correct, because I've never made a custom proxy. And so I'm kind of wondering, why wouldn't you do proxy.create here? And then say type of data portal data. Actually, before I do this, let's keep this test here, but let's put a 2 version in. And so if I say here, proxy create, type of data portal data, criteria object describing business object. I don't know. What is this? I have no idea. Create. Get base criteria request. I don't know. I don't know what you'd pass in here. I really don't understand what you would actually... I don't know. I'm almost starting to think this might be a red herring. Because we get a create back. Oh, and that is awaitable. Come on. Come on, Rocky. Gotta have your methods marked with async. Okay, so what else is wrong? There's no argument that corresponds to the required parameter is sync. I don't. Sure, it's sync. Are you happy now? So what do we get back here? We get a data portal result. Return object. So we can take this whole thing, say return object as data portal data, right? Now what are you complaining about? Oh. Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. I have no idea if this is correct or not. I have no idea what criteria I should be passing in. I don't know what. Unable to cast object of type criteria request. Does this need to be like a new criteria? Empty criteria? Does that work? Things? Stuff? I don't know. It is on the create. I'm starting to think that this has nothing to do with the serializer at this point. Or my formatter. I think this test did show that there was a bug. Absolutely. But I don't think it has anything to do with what's going on here. I'm getting a really strong feeling that at this point it has nothing to do with my serializer. It should, if you're given a null object, it's going to handle it correctly. And the whole thing with the flows, this is an update. This isn't data portal proxy. Data. So let's say a page here. Somewhere I saw it before and I'm just missing it now. Where if you're saying flow state something, you're getting a null. I don't know. I think at this point I'm gonna just call it, and I'm actually gonna get rid of this test because I just don't feel like this is actually like it's the data portal proxy itself. I don't think you're supposed to call it directly. I think it's part of the whole. Yeah. Okay. By the way, I need to do something here real quick forgot to. Okay. So we got all the tests passing. I'm going to say this in the thing. And this. Okay, so let me. Oh, I got to do a couple of other things. I want to, in the build, I'm going to change this now to 1. Okay. And then in the change, nope, not that. In the change log, we're going to put in 2.1, not yet released. Put a fixed section in here. Null objects are now handled correctly. Formatter. And that is issue 38. Okay. And running everything should be just fine. Okay. Git commit. Updated notes. Change log. Did I save my notes? Yeah, I did. So time for a merge. Okay, so let's go here, do this. Push. All right, so we got that done. All right, so time remaining. We got a little bit of time. There is one issue that I've wanted to address, which is a very simple one. It's actually this pre-existing for iGenerate. When I say this should be really rare, I really mean it. This should be absolutely I should never run into this. And if I do, you could arguably say a user shouldn't even do this. But the case is, what happens if somebody gives me an object that already implements iGeneratoSerializable? That's my interface. then do nothing. Because I can't generate another partial class that implements that interface. It just won't work. Which then you could say, well, you should have a compilation error there. But I think it's just easier in the generator to detect that and say, hey, if this already implements this, don't consider it. So just to confirm, I think that that's what I'm going to be able to do. So here, I'm going to look for this attribute. So I'm assuming you have that attribute there. But you have the attribute, and you've also implemented the interface. Why? Don't know, but so we're going to do a try create here. Okay. The type has errors. That is my own thing here. Oh, and I already have an interface, or not an interface, I have an extension method. Oh, that was never calling anything, but whoopee, I have that already. So I could say here, if it already implements it, the model's null, return false. Easy. Let's do this, because this is something that should never show up, but I'm just trying to be defensive. So let's get this one done, and then I'll be done with the stream. Okay. So get new branch. And so what I want to do here is I want to have an analysis test, the generators. That will have something like pre-existing interface implementation tests. That sounds like a big word, so it sounds like it's got to be complicated, right? Public static. Let's actually grab one already. Did I grab the whole thing? Yeah, I did. Okay, so in this case, what we want to do is say that ClaGenerator serializable. Okay. And so what I want is we have to implement this, and we don't have to do it explicitly. It doesn't matter if it's implemented explicitly. We're just simply going to do nothing. Okay. And then in the get state, we're simply going to do nothing as well. This should have nothing in it. In fact, we shouldn't generate any code at all. We should do nothing. Now, what currently happens? Yeah, it's currently trying to generate a file, and that file is also going to be implementing the interface, which we don't want. What is your PCA specification? I don't remember. I could look it up, but I'm not going to do that right now. I got it, I think it's like now getting on 2 years. Did I get it? It's still fine. It's still fine for what I need to do. I will also say from a development standpoint, just Visual Studio 2026 is noticeably faster. It is definitely noticeably faster. So if you are using Visual Studio and you're still not on 2026, please do so. I think you're actually missing out. There's a lot of goodness in there, and I'm kind of happy with the speed of how they've improved things. And I think they needed to. So, all right. So we're still creating something, but we don't want to do that. We want to say here, if it has errors, we want to say now, if type is generator serializable, if for some reason the marked type implements generator serializable, there's no reason to try and generate code. Simple. If we go back here, what happens now? Passes. We're done. That's all I needed to do. If I do the rest of this, all the other tests should pass. Should. And they do. Like I said, this one was really simple. It's just being ridiculously defensive. Where if somebody tried to... You could do this. You could actually... You know, this is here because it needs to trigger the generator. But somebody could just create a class that is a custom CSLA business object and also implement this interface. And it could participate in the serialization process, and then they could implement get state and set state and do whatever they want. Why? I don't know. That would seem really foolish for somebody to do that. But it's possible, and we just are now going to say, nope, if you do this, we're just not going to care. Okay. One other thing that just went through my head that I should do, which is actually disappointing that I don't have here, which is I don't have tests for a lot of my extension methods. And I understand why, because it's a little annoying. It's a little annoying because you need to actually get a model to find the type and so on. So I'm going to put that in as a separate issue to say add test for extension methods. And in fact, before I forget, let's go here and say new issue. Hey, look, feature request, add tests for extension methods. It's not a problem. Describe the solution you'd like. There are currently no direct unit tests for the extension methods in there should be. There's no context, no alternatives. Just assign it to me directly, label as an enhancement, and it should be in the 2.1 milestone there. Yep. All right. So we could put this in the changelog, and we will. If a type is marked with generator serializable and it already implements generator serializable, the generator will do nothing. This is issue, what, 13? Okay. Run the test once more just to be certain that this is actually doing what I want it to do. Git commit. Check for existing interface. It's done. Time for a merge. This is, again, an issue that I knew was going to be simple, and I've just been delaying it because nobody was ever doing this. But I figured I might as well snipe it while I have time in this stream to address it. Let's merge that into that. Push it. Get rid of that. All right. And now this should be done. Yay. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this stream. I don't know what I will do in another upcoming Random Code stream. I have to spend some time and think about what are some things I would like to do in the future. But for now, I am done with what I want to do. I guess enhanced test coverage. This is a little different because there are serialization tests in CSLA here and here, and I should make sure that I have coverage around those as well. So I don't think I would do that in a stream, although that might be interesting. The extension tests are, I don't know, maybe I'll just have a stream where I'm rating tests, because why not? We'll see. But for now, I'm done. I want to thank everybody who's been watching either now or in the future. I am almost positive this stream will not be blocked or demonetized for any good reason. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. I will probably be doing a Lego Lord of the Rings stream this afternoon and see what it's like to play the game without any music on. That might be a very weird experience, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. But that's the schedule for now. So that's it. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and I hope to see you in the future.